Welcome to Drag and Drive News, your source for news and entertainment in the Drag and Drive community. Let's start off by wishing Aaron Shaffer good luck at Streetcar Takeover Oklahoma City this weekend. I'm back to working on the historical stats for the Billy Gebhart all-time Hot Rod Drag Week racer lists, adding all of the 2022 racers to all of the data. John from Delta PAG is changing the game when it comes to automotive cooling.
I have a tendency to try to do mad scientist shit. I really think that the cooling system forever has been black sheep.
We have part 2 of Terry McMillen's interview. He tells us about getting grounded the day he got his license and the story of purchasing Bunker Hill drag strip in less than a week.
Got to take it out Friday night, and I got grounded on Saturday because I took it to the drag strip. So.
All right, we'll start the show with Built for Drag and Drive, brought to you by our friends at Sweet Patina. Begin dropping hints to your family for Sweet Patina products or apparel for your holiday gifts now. You can find all of that at sweetpatina.com. You know, we're huge fans of patina vehicles around here, and one of the best examples lives on our feature car this week, the Stark family and their LS Swap stick shift nitrous fed Tri-5 wagon. With the engine and trans in a good place right now, they aren't touching those except for routine maintenance. The rear end, although, is going under the knife, and they're looking at running radials for next season. The goal is to get that elusive 9-second pass. The car has been 10.07 several times with Tom behind the wheel, rowing the gears. Good luck to that family. We will be watching you guys. If you would like to be watching them, you can find all of their stuff over on Blaine's Therapy, and I'll link all of that down in the description.
I have a tendency to try to do mad scientist shit. Our brushless technology has 4 patents on it. I really think that the cooling system forever has been black sheep. No one really looks at it or cares about it. And I'm telling you right now, the reason why your alternator is dying is because of your fan. Guaranteed.
I want to start off, I want to have you introduce yourself. I want to have you kind of tell folks what you guys do, and then let's jump right into it, man.
Yeah. Hey, Mike. Thanks for having me on. My name is John Pyroktouridis. I'm the president of Delta PAG, or Delta Performance Automotive Group. We manufacture cooling systems using brushless motor technology. The way I got roped into drag and drive, our company was primarily building cooling systems for fleet and OEMs and industrial stuff. So things that need continuous, operation, constant duty, high reliability, and high efficiency stuff. I would say close to a decade now, maybe a little bit less, maybe 7 years, ago. I got a phone call from a guy named John Enns. He's with Dave Schroeder with Blue Corvette. That day, they dropped out of Drag Week because their cooling system, their fans blew out their electrical, battery, everything. So he calls me up and says, I found your stuff on Google or whatever, and I'm wondering if this could help with what I'm trying to do. And I was like, I have no idea. I had no idea what drag and drive was. Then he got more into the weeds and the details of what's going on, lithium battery, high amp load, and also he described the engine and the monster that he was trying to cool. So I was like, I have no idea if this is going to work for what you're trying to do. Try it. If it doesn't work, send it back. But please give me some feedback, which is extremely important. I'm an engineer. Information on failures is golden. I love that more than a compliment. John and Dave and all the other guys at Drag Week or these drag and drive events, these guys are really smart. They know their shit, to a level where I was like, oh wow, okay, yeah. And not only that, they could usually pinpoint when and why the problem happened.
That's good for engineers.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. I put together a cooling system for them, and we've been fine tuning it ever since. And not only that, I have a tendency to try to like do mad scientist shit to come up with new ideas. And usually most OEs are like, no. You got to go through all the feasibility. You got to go through years and years of testing. Do not send it our way. An ad hoc idea that I might be saying at a bar, they're like, yeah, send it. I'm like, wait, what? So they're willing to like try anything. And what better environment to try that in when you're trying to cool 2,000-3,000 horsepower.
Yep.
On the street in the summer with grandma going to the store in front of you, at 15 miles an hour,
Yep.
So it's a very good test. I guess it's unique technology because I still get phone calls where like I have no idea what brushless. So we use brushless motors for all of our stuff. We think that is the way to go. We spend a lot of money and time in R&D developing new brushless technologies. Our brushless technology has 4 patents on it. So there's a lot of engineering that went into that. So from John Enns and Dave Schroeder putting it in the blue Corvette, then it was interviewed by Mike Finnegan, like one of those years. And John was like really happy that he found a solution to a problem that he had. So he was like, oh yeah, these things are amazing, man. He's going off. And you could see Mike Finnegan's face like, who the hell are they?
We've never heard of Delta PAG. What are you talking about?
We were never in that space. All the top guys in Drag Week are using our stuff. And it has nothing to do with marketing. It has more to do that it's very innovative and it fits a whole bunch of it resolves a whole bunch of issues from amp draw, because all these cars have a ton of electronics in them, so everybody needs their part of the alternator. So the last thing you need is a very hungry fan or pump to be taking up a large portion of that.
Yeah,
it's that. Also, they're very thin and very light. And also move a ton of air. Sometimes, these guys might not have a degree or might not, be engineering educated, but they could find solutions. Their entire lives, they've been problem solving in the engineering space.
That's right.
So that there is no better course or class or whatever than that. Eventually, your synapses will get wired on finding solutions to engineering problems. And then that's the only thing you see, and I think majority, if not all, the drag and drive guys have that mental complex. That's great. I'm just so happy to be around all these guys. So that's why I like to go to all these races and just see what they're doing. So the problem with brushless, and yes, it ticks all the boxes and it's great. It's that it is more expensive, right? Because there are a lot of electronics involved. The motor components are very expensive. I don't want to sell to a lower priced level because there's something better out there. When people are spending $20,000 on cylinder heads, you're not going to spend a little bit more to make it survive.
Right. Yep. That's exactly right.
I really think that the cooling system forever has been black sheep. Like no one really looks at it or cares about it. And then now when you are in these very, very demanding roles of drag and drive, high horsepower and street driving, it's front and center, right?
Yes.
So, and I think our technology puts a huge spotlight on it because it solves so many problems.
Yeah, 100%. And the one thing that was always the answer was a bigger, better fan. Like, just put a higher CFM fan on it. Well, you can, but draw and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but then you hit the problem of like these higher, much heavier duty fans. Except for space constraint issues, they also consume a lot more amps, right? So I know a lot of drag week guys would carry multiple alternators, and I'm telling you right now, the reason why your alternator is dying is because of your fan, guaranteed. Yep. With brushless, you could do variable speed, soft start, all those things to just be kind to your charging system. We're like, all right, we know what the problem is. It's brushes. We should just go into brushless. Just the technology's there. We should introduce brushless. It wasn't that easy. We slapped a couple of brushless motors on there and they blew up or melted or the electronics died almost immediately or even less life than brushes themselves. So, we came up with a lot of solutions, and then we have 4 patents on this. So
Wow.
it's not just something simple. It was actually something that we wrote white papers on, and of course have patents on the solutions of how to make brushless work in a high heat environment, like under the hood.
That's awesome.
And that's actually very, very tricky, because electronics, which are required for brushless, don't like heat, and you're putting them right in front of a radiator, which is going to be like 200 degrees plus. So that's a little tricky little endeavor to do.
Let's talk about how someone would go about getting, I guess, like technical questions answered, or if they have a potential build that they're working through right now, how would they get a hold of someone to discuss water pumps? And, you have a new radiator out now and fan
Yeah, yeah,
setups and
yeah.
things like that.
We don't have a lot of people. We're a team of 5, 6 people, if you count my assistant. And most of these guys are very good at what they do, but they're not very holistic. Only myself and one other person kind of talk through the whole thing. The thing is that there's not a lot of time. My customers know that if I, if they're my customers and they have a system, and we got to work through something, I could be on the phone with them for hours to design and build something that will definitely work. And this is all CAD engineered, designed from the ground up for that application. And I think that's
Wow.
very important for drag and drive. There is no one size fits all. Here's a box, part number XYZ. All of these builds are unique, so you need to build that to maximize the cooling system. Like you mentioned, the heat exchangers, that's actually very exciting. It doesn't have the amount of R&D time or real world time as our fans, but this is something that I've been doing a lot of work on and calculations on, that goes contrary to what the entire industry was doing. I don't know if I just didn't have the balls to tell everybody that they're completely wrong. And we went through a lot of FEA and CFD models to come up with the core that we have now, which is a lot thinner. It's one row, one large row versus multiple rows,
Yeah,
right?
that's got to be probably one of the biggest changes I think in the market, because for a long time, oh man, you've got to have a
Four row, like
yeah, oh, yeah.
4 or 5 inches thick. Just yeah, that's wrong. So far, let me take a couple steps back. So far, what I've seen in actual usage, the model holds true, and that doesn't always happen, right? In this particular case, you guys are, I mean, the drag and drive community is willing to try any kind of crazy idea. The teams that I worked with, I was like, look, let's try it, and they're lifting it up with one hand, and they're like, this thing, and they're like, hey, just give it a shot, worst case scenario, just pull it out. You have the old one that I made for you. Just whatever. Yeah. And we've used it in a couple of applications, some very, very demanding applications, and it solved multiple issues. One,
Wow.
like I mentioned before, like weight, it's like a fraction, because you're using not only less material, but also now there's less coolant in there, because it's not that thick. The tanks are not that big. And the second is you have more space now. You gain at least an inch.
And that's a bunch under the hood of a car.
Most of the guys tell me, oh, I only have an inch between my core and my water pump pulley. Well, if you use my core, you'll have 2 inches, which is like the thickness of my fan. So that you're allowed to put like more shroud or more fan to be able to make that system work properly.
What are some tips that you have for guys that are, they're watching this and they're getting ready for their winter upgrades? I mean, what are one or two things that you could tell them to look out for?
If you can, and you don't have one already, put a shroud on it, and put as much fan on that core as possible. Don't do any of those louvers in the shroud or holes. Please don't do those holes in the shroud. That is just like, it gives you a little twitch when you see that. That defeats the purpose of the shroud. So you need to make a decent depth of shroud. Other big pitfalls: the coolant is going too fast to the radiator, right? You need to put like large amounts of restrictors or stuff like that. That's wrong. This is a closed loop. So if it's going too fast to the radiator, it's also going too fast to the engine, right? Yep. So picking up heat, there'll be less of a temperature rise. if you're moving at higher speeds, and there'll be less of a temperature drop in the radiator. So then you're like, wait a minute, and then how does it cool? The rate of heat dissipation is going to stay the same pretty much, but what you're improving with high velocity of coolant is turbulent flow, and that is awesome. It's very important in a cooling system to have turbulent flow in all fluids, the liquid going through the radiator, and also the air going through the core, right? So turbulent flow is important. And you definitely get turbulent flow when you increase velocity. So that's one of those things that when we're talking about the thickness of the core, some people say, oh, you want to make the core very, very thick, because you could get more louvers in there, and you could, create more turbulent flow. Well, you could also get more turbulent flow by increasing the velocity of the air going through the core, right? So by making it thinner, you're reducing the velocity of air going through the. So there's a lot of variables that play into a part. So if people tell you, no, you got to slow down the coolant to make it cool better, it's not true.
Let's talk about 2023 events, because the 2022 season is done for most everybody. There's 2 more Drag and Drive regional events left, but major stuff starts again in February with Sick Week. Where are you going to be? Where you going to hit some events this year?
PRI is next. That's where I'm going to be in a couple of months. Our booth is 3009. We have a full display of how everything works, water pumps, everything. So come by and take a look at what we're talking about as far as brushless tech. And then there's Midwest Drags. Midwest Drags, we are sponsoring the purse. So
what? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So there's $7,000 of cash. Previous years, I was just giving it to all the unlimited class, and that's not right. It's not showing the love. So we're going to try to break it out into other classes too.
Nice.
I want people to be interested in doing this, which is expensive, and frankly, $7,000 is the cheapest R&D you will ever spend in your life. So the feedback that I get from these guys is amazing, and the more people do this, the more they'll find out, oh yeah, this is probably the best way to go to tackle the cooling system, and the more people that do this, the more people will find ways of screwing up my stuff. When you develop products like this, right, you're gonna have to spend time, and we've been spending like over a decade on improving and designing this thing, and it does take that long. So and getting the feedback is just invaluable. So that's $7,000 that we're giving out as a purse to Midwest Drags. I love every single guy that's going to get those. But what I do want that money to do is attract more people to this, right? Because it's not cheap, and it's you get a trophy. It's nice to also get cash. I'm from Queens, money talks, right? So it's I find that to be more valuable, and hopefully they'll see the benefit of our stuff.
Tell everybody where they can find you guys. I mean, are you guys on Facebook? You got websites, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we're on Facebook under Delta PAG, Instagram. We also have a very small YouTube page, Delta PAG, that you can see some of the videos that we've done in our trade shows and our demonstrations. And every single time we have a new product to announce, we'll throw it on there too to unveil it. We don't have a marketing team. Usually it's myself or my sister that does the marketing material. So it's we don't spend that much money at all, pretty much, on marketing.
Well, we appreciate you spending money on R&D and taking care of people and keeping their cool.
Of course, and also supporting the races. I think all these big race teams, like what was it, NHRA or that it started inviting all of these drag and drive guys to these races. I think they're starting to see that there's a lot of eyeballs and a lot of excitement in what we're doing at drag and drive.
That's right. That's right. Well, man, I really want to say thank you for
Mike,
taking your time tonight.
it's a pleasure. I love what we're doing over here. I love what Drag and Drive is turning into. I hang out with some of the smartest, coolest guys in the world, and I talk to guys like you and other guys that know their stuff and are have a fire in their belly about this. And this is actually it's an amazing ride. So thank you very much.
And I know you guys are going to be excited about this. Daily Dose of Drag and Drive will be back beginning November 10th for updates from Southeast Street and Yeet and King of the Open Road, which starts November 11th to cap off the 2022 season.
We went Friday morning to the license bureau in my mom's car, got my driver license, got to take it out Friday night, and I got grounded on Saturday because I took it to the drag strip. So
we're going to get to know each other pretty good here. It's going to be a lot of fun. So
we're going to have a blast. I got my first car, my first kind of street strip car back in 1969. I grew up in Chicago. I kind of struggled in school, right? I didn't care for school. The only thing back in the day, and this is going to be a shock to everybody, but back in the day, we didn't have internet. So we had hot rod magazines. So I'd carry 15 or 20 of those to the classroom with me. And that's what I studied. And, and then one day I had this English teacher. She was really cool. And she says, I understand that this is what you want to do, but you're not getting anywhere in this class. So what if I just took and you read the magazine, you give it to me, you write a story about it, and then I'll grade you on that. Well, that teacher was my favorite teacher, and she really turned my life around. I mean, she really got me back on track, because then I realized as going forward that, you needed to have the education. You can't get sponsorship without an education. You can't market without an education. You can't do any of this stuff. And so before long, you realize that math's super important, spelling super important, and all those things. And so she turned my life around and got me back on track. I used to race at US 30 in Gary, so it's kind of was my home track at the time. And in fact, the day I got my driver license in Indiana or in Illinois, you can get your driver license the day you turn 16. So we went Friday morning to the license bureau in my mom's car, got my driver license, got to take it out Friday night, and I got grounded on Saturday because I took it to the drag strip. So that's where my head was at, and that's what I wanted to do. But over years, I mean, we've had a lot of different cars that were super quick and just love racing, and that's kind of what I do. I can't get enough of it. I eat and I sleep that, and I still, when I'm not racing, even when I was not racing the fuel car, I'd come back home and build new cars. I'm building a 32 Ford right now with a 871 blower motor in it for the street, and it's going to be insane, but it's the way I like to do it. And I just got rid of a 73 Nova with a 98 millimeter turbo on it. So it's just, those are the things I like to do in my spare time. But now with the track, it's changed things a little bit. There is no spare time. And I just, like I said, I'm overwhelmed about the opportunities here.
Yeah, that's exciting. So let me ask you this: how did you come about finding that track, and then what was it like to pull the trigger and own your own racetrack?
Well, I have to tell you, I was Osceola was a drag strip here in Osceola, Indiana, and we tried to purchase that. And what happened is we went in front of the county commissioners because we were going to totally redo the track, and we were approved by the county commissioners to proceed. Within a couple of days, one of the landowners filed a lawsuit against county commissioners. So put everything in a stay. If we put any money into the track and they overturned the decision, we would lose that money because we'd never get it recovered. So we just kind of stayed out there and hung out, seeing what happened. And then from there, Scott had Muncie for sale, and we went down and looked at it. And it's, man, I love the facility. It was really cool. But the problem is you just don't get the land, and the gentleman that owns it's getting a little bit older. So you just kind of have to question, what you're going to have at the end of the day. So the people that were with me looking at investing just didn't want any part of it. So then, like 2 weeks later, I was saying something to Mark, the previous owner of Bunker Hill, and we were in a discussion. He says, "Well, man, I'll sell this." and it's like within a week it was done.
That's awesome.
So, you know, we went from just kind of cruising along in life to like into fire now, but and I love it because that's all I know.
Yep.
So, you know, so it just happened. It was a very smooth transition. Mark has worked with us all this year. It basically, you know, he set the rules. He ran. He did everything he said at the beginning of the year. So we kind of let it carry through, even though we were learning. You know, I mean, I kind of know where some of the light switches are today. You know, I know where the water faucet is. So we're kind of learning all those things, and he's been great at helping us. But you know, now we want to move into the next phase, and the next phase is building Bunker Hill back to what it used to be. In the heyday, they used to run fuel cars there. They ran alcohol cars there. They've done all that. And we want to bring some of that back. You know, we want to, you know, we're going to work with the, I say nostalgia pro stock cars, but we're going to work with pro stock cars, you know, the Warren Johnson type cars and all the original type cars like that. We're going to have an event there with them. We're going to have the gassers there again. And, you know, and then certainly, you know, we're blessed to have the opportunity to have nostalgia nights, and that's going to be really cool. We're trying to get in top fuel Harleys to come out to the race, some alcohol funny cars and alcohol dragsters. We want to create a variety. But more important than anything is my core group, and that's the core racers that show up there every week to support the track. But we want to kind of break it up a little bit because right now they have to run almost every week for points. And I want to break that up, maybe try to knock that down 2 times a week, and then have some of these specialty events go in the middle of that. So that gives them a break. And at the same point in time, helps the track grow and bring in new fans. And that it's amazing to me how many people don't know where Bunker Hill's at, the track. They've been by the sign, but never been to the track. So we're changing that. We've had some great success but straight up, got a lot to learn. It's just the beginning. It's a process. We're going to grow together because this whole track and all of this is not about me. It's about all of us growing together and making it work. So we need whatever input we need from people and fans to grow this event. And that's what we got to do. And I think right now, the direction that we're heading and the format that's laid out, I think it's extremely exciting. We're going to do fun things. It's just not about racing only. It's going to be fun things. Kids, grandkids, everybody's going to have something to do. You know, we'll do go-kart races. You know, we'll do whatever we got to do to have fun. Yeah. That's the storyline behind all of this. That's going to be a whole nother chapter. You know, when this whole thing goes off, it's going to be a whole nother chapter that we can put together. What it took to get the first leg of this done, and the second leg, and the third leg, and the fourth leg, and what you went through, and the challenges, and that's what's going to the story behind the scenes, and that's going to help drive our sport. Over the years so far, we've done stories on racers that race at our track and the success that they've had, but the trials and tribulation that they went through to get there, right? And that is a story, and that's what makes it so interesting. They should be able to get a taste of drag racing, like you alluded to, and at the same point in time, have a lot of fun. I mean, it's awesome when you get to see the smile on their face at the end of the track. That's when you know it's been a great day.
That's for sure.
That's what we're gonna grade this thing on smiles.
Well, I know there's probably a lot of people that are sitting at home that want me to ask this question. What's the fastest mile per hour you've ever been?
330. 330.
Dude,
Yeah,
that's fast.
Yeah, you know, people always ask you what it's like to drive a fuel car, and I have this short analogy, and it's like, you know, you can look at me, I'm older and I got a little bit of fat, right, and all that, but tell you what, when you hit the gas, every ounce of fat and every wrinkle is so far behind you. It's amazing. You look, I had a mirror in there because I was going to sell it as a diet program, right? I had a mirror in there because, man, I left the line and I looked like I was 18. I had a wrinkle, not a care in the world, man. It was a wicked, right? You get out there and you're cruising along and you get down to half track and you're somewhere around 285, 290 miles an hour. Look down, life is great. And this diet program is a little expensive, but it's going to work. It's going to work, you know. And then you get to the finish line, man, and this is where it really happens. And this is like, okay, so now you got to let off the gas and pull the chutes. Well, when you pull the parachutes, the Pillsbury Doughboy showed up in the front seat because all that fat that was behind me, past me, scared the hell out of me. Man, I no more mirror. But that's the transition that your body goes through. You know, you start out, you know, 6 to 8 Gs. or 4 to 6 G's leave, and then you can get out there 6 to 8 G's as the clutch comes in, about 300 feet, 250 feet, and then it just keeps pulling all the way. And that's the thing about a nitro car is like most cars, you know, they've already maxed their number pretty much to the 8th mile, and they're only going to pick up a few mile an hour, 30, 40 mile an hour out the back. Where a fuel car, it just keeps coming. It'll go until it runs out of fuel. It's like a tractor. It doesn't know any different. So that's the part about it that is insane, to think that a piston-driven motor making that kind of horsepower can go that quick. It's amazing, and it's a blast to drive, and I need to get back on that diet program.
So do you miss the thrash a little bit? I guess your thrash is different now, but on a weekend, if you take your regular street car to the track, you know, you're not completely, I guess, do you miss the thrash? I guess is the question I'm asking.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when I would take my car to the track, then I'm looking for things to do, because I'm supposed to be busy, right? I'm supposed to, you know, I got 45 minutes to get that car put back together and get it running, you know. So now you start thinking about, oh, I need to change this, I need to change that, and you mess yourself all up. But you know what I miss about it all is all of that. I miss the travel, I miss the fans, because like I said, we've been so fortunate and blessed to, you know, have the fan base that we have, and have the people follow us that follow us, and they've made it enjoyable. And it's like, you know, there's nothing like getting in the motorhome and going to the next race, you know, with your team and everybody just kind of hanging out and doing things. And you know, right now it's parked, but doesn't mean that it can't come back. You know,
Nice.
Right now I have to stay focused on what we're doing, and that's the racetrack. I got to get this thing up and running to where my expectations want it to be, and with shows like this, programs like this, we're going to get it there.
That's awesome. Well, obviously, can you tell everybody where they can find you guys, all the social media channels and things like that?
Yeah, it's bunkerhill.com is the website, and then Facebook, Bunker Hill, and then Twitter and all that. Same thing, Bunker Hill. We're all over the place. Corey, my wife, does a great job of you know, posting things, and you know, we created stupid things like, instead of putting things on Facebook, you know, about upcoming events or rainouts and stuff like that, we started a text service. Well, it's amazing.
Nice.
Because we save people a ton of money that were coming. They leave 3 hours to get from Michigan down to our track, right? And we call it, and they would show up at our track not even knowing. So now we started text messaging. We're just trying to make it more convenient for everybody, because I need their business. I want their business. And I want to earn their business. And more importantly, I want them to have a facility that they can come and play at and know that it's going to be fun, it's going to be exciting, and kids and grandkids and everybody's going to enjoy themselves. And
well, I want to say thank you so much for spending some time. I know you are a very busy guy, so I want to say thank you for taking the time to talk with me, for sure, because this is exciting. I think we are in the early part of an explosion of drag and drive. And that just means more street cars, more people attending racetracks. We need more people at drag strips. We need more spectators. I think all of this brings that out. So thank you very much.
no, thank you so much for having us and allowing us to break the news. You know, like I said, it's a major undertaking to get it all put together, but it's going to be worth it for every racer and all the fans that come out and enjoy it. And certainly, like I said, this is just the beginning. You know, we're going to see this thing go into different areas that never been reached before, because I believe our industry, the street cars, they need this. They need a place to go.
I want to say thanks for watching. If you haven't done it yet, we'd certainly appreciate it if you'd follow or subscribe to keep up with news and entertainment from the drag and drive community.